Hello everybody. Welcome back to our little tarot corner. Allie from Tarot here with another segment of my collection. So today I wanted to dive into my decks that I consider fine art or high art, fancy decks, shall we say. And I've got a good pile here, so let's get into them. So the first one, it's right here on top, is my 1889 Lenormand deck. I won't show complete decks or anything as usual in my flip throughs just because we'd be here forever. But this is a beautiful deck. These are the backs, gold gilding. I really like the style of these cards. They're so incredibly beautiful. It makes learning Lenormand fun. And what's neat about these cards is on the corner it has the number, and it has in the circle around it, you're not going to be able to tell on camera, but it does say here in the circle, it says around, it says key, if you weren't quite sure what you were supposed to be looking at. So pretty neat. And then obviously they have the traditional playing card associations and then almost like Victorian style artwork. So this is just so incredibly beautiful. This is the bridge size version, which I believe has been out of print for a good while. I was able to buy the mini version online, but someone was rehoming this bridge size and I jumped at it because I really wanted it. This one did come with a certificate of authenticity that the previous owner put in the box, as well as the little guidebook, which when I ordered my mini deck, the creator also sent me this guidebook. So sometimes in my previous reading videos, I would be reading my card interpretations from there when I would pull Lenormand. Anyway, but yeah, so it looks like mine is number 264 out of 1,000. So anyway, beautiful deck, and I love it. And that is the 1889 Lenormand Oracle. Yeah. Okay, next up is an oracle, one of the first projects that I backed on Kickstarter. It did not come in this pouch. I just put it in this pouch. But this is an oracle deck, and it is called An Unfoldment of Consciousness by Majestic. And these are the backs, and it's got a beautiful like chocolate, almost kind of brown gilding. It's very beautiful. This deck I consider fine art just because, I mean, look at these. This is very much so, readjust my chair here. This is very much so an oracle that you pull one card from and you meditate on it and leave it up for a while. She is not an everyday oracle. She is not a pull a card and pull another one the next day oracle. She is not a pull multiple cards oracle. She is pull a card and sit with it. So let me find you one of my favorites. This one. So I'll give you a little snippet. We'll read the guidebook entry. Language. English is hard. It's my first day talking. Okay. So I'll hold this card up and I'll read the message, and you can understand why, like, it's a one card draw. So it says, many of us are inspired by the legend of the phoenix, a magnificent firebird who hermits away when it is their time to pass on, only to shortly thereafter rise from the ashes. How many of us have ever thought what it takes to undergo this process every birth, though? To make sense of leaving the known for the unknown, only to return to the known once more, somehow holding a steady belief in the possibility that one can return in a new and better form. And then there's a little bit more. I'm going to skip along here. How are you allowing yourself to receive this rebirthing process with compassion and grace? Can you hold faith that new abundant life is flowing toward you? Are you willing to surrender to both the divine feminine and masculine forces alike to re-enter the world with renewed strength and heightened intuition? Can you release the pain of the past and transmute it into wisdom so that you may step into this new era of divine self-sovereignty? One card at a time. But I love this deck. And that is an Unfoldment of Consciousness Oracle by Maha-Atan. I did back it on Kickstarter. I don't know if it's still available or not. I'm sure a quick Google search would tell you whether it was or not. Next is another relatively recent Kickstarter. This is Oracle, I'm going to butcher it, Oracle Dior, however you would pronounce that. This is a bag that they had made for backers as an add-on if they wanted it. But this is basically Odilon Redden's artwork, and they've formatted it into an oracle. It comes with a little guidebook, which there's also a bigger, thicker, very in-depth study book that is also being delivered just later this fall for backers who chose it. The cardstock on this deck, first of all, it's got gold foiling accent throughout. These are the backs. The edges don't have gilding, but this cardstock is the most lush thing that I've ever felt. It's like, it is a rose petal finish, but it truly does not stick to each other. Like, it fans so beautifully, and it feels delicious to just hold it in your hands. But this is an oracle that I'm still kind of getting acquainted with. Obviously, it is based on the artwork and meditations of Odilon Redden. I'm probably butchering that name too. I promise I am a smart individual. I just don't know everything. So, but you can see these cards have got that foil accent throughout them. It's a very deep deck, I find. This one is another one that it's like one card at a time. But it's a very good clarifier with shadow work, I've found. Yeah, it's just, the thing about this artwork that I'm kind of trying to get past, I almost didn't back it, but I decided that I wanted to. Like, it's a severed head Orpheus. I almost didn't back this, but I decided that I wanted to try and get comfortable with it, and I do not regret owning it at all. I think it's incredible. I'm letting her speak to me the way that she wants to, and I haven't pressured her to work with me. So, show one more card, kind of creepy, spider. Great oracle. I cannot wait till the book comes out here in the next couple months, I think they said. So that is Oracle Dior, however you pronounced it. Next is a very recent acquisition of mine. I talked about in my last video, I halfway mentioned it, and that is the Tabula Mundi Tarot. I ended up, first of all, the details of this packaging are great. It's a giant, big, thick red ribbon that lifts up. If you've seen anybody talk about the Tabula Mundi, I'm sure they've gone through in detail, and there's tons of walkthroughs. It comes with a beautiful little white book that is hand-tied, and the cover is embossed, and it's just beautiful. I also did pick up the what is it called? Book. It's the bigger guidebook that you can get on the website when you order, and I ordered it. Mine is not numbered, but it is signed. So this is the signature card that came with my deck. I chose the larger version. There's a smaller version that's available, but I'm glad I chose the large one. I would not have wanted the smaller one now that I have this one in my hands. So these are the backs. We've got the cups, swords, wands, and pentacles in the middle, some rainbows, And then it's hard to tell. There it is. You can kind of see it. All of the black is, let's see if we can get it to work. The black back is holographic. You can kind of see it. There you go. It's incredible in person. Anyway, this deck is I've still got it in order. It's kind of a Rider-Waite Thoth combination. The book goes a lot more in depth, obviously, into the details of the deck. But I already am such a fan. I think I love this Chariot card. This is just another one that I wanted to acquire and have, because I do know that I eventually want to work with it. Some people call that wasteful. It's my life, man. It's fine. This is the Fortune card, or the Wheel card, and I love, if you'll notice, there's a little ring-tailed lemur. I love that. I love that so much. What I actually plan on doing is, here's the Death card, is doing a side-by-side study with this with my Thoth Tarot and seeing them together. But yeah, again, not too familiar with this one yet, but I already am so intrigued. I think it's the coolest deck. First time I saw this deck was actually on Don Michelle's channel, Boho Tarot. She kind of inspired me to want to get it. So I am very glad that I have it. She has a lot of depth, and I am just not quite there yet, but I am glad that she's come home. This actually might even be more of a masculine deck. Yeah, this is actually a masculine deck. I don't know why I called her she. It's definitely a boy, but anyway. Tabula mundi. This is gonna take us a while. This is gonna be a minute. I'm sorry in advance, but I'm really not, because you clicked on my channel, so you don't want to hang out with me, don't hang out with me. Please hang out with me. Please stay. No. Do not drink coffee in the early evenings. That's what we're learning today. Focus. Okay. Next deck is the Tildwick Tarot. I was able to find this one secondhand, and I was absolutely thrilled. There's a title card. I never thought that I would actually be able to own this deck, and I have already come to love it. These are the backs. It is kind of a copper gilding, very pretty. The concept of this deck is that you are walking through this like abandoned mansion. It's kind of sometimes difficult to get all the detail, but that's why it's miraculous. There's just so much to see. Like, this is the Knight of Cups card. It's like you're walking through this abandoned mansion and looking through these rooms. It's like this mansion may or may not be haunted, but this is the Nine of Cups. Yeah, Nine of Cups, and it's just bottles lined up on a shelf. So great. I'm still slowly working with this one too. It's definitely a saver type of deck. This is one that the three fat readers, Danny and Lisa Pepez and Dustin from Modern Metaphysicae, they were all talking about this and have all talked about it separately before, and I really wanted it, and someone listed it for sale one day and I snatched it up. So this is the 10 of Pentacles, or 10 of Coins. So you can see it's just, it's so fascinating. This is the second edition, so I think it's a little bit brighter, if I'm not mistaken, than the first. So it's a little bit easier to make out the details on this version than it was in the first version rather. But you can see, like, this is the 5 of Swords, and it's just kind of messy. You can't, even looking at it up close, you kind of can't tell. But this is a deck that definitely makes you slow down and really look for the detail, and it really doesn't show up as well on camera as it does in person. So here we have the star. It's like this beautiful fountain in this garden area. You can see the star worked into the tile or stonework up top. Just incredible. Ooh, okay, one last one. One of my favorite cards, as usual, the Hermit. Yeah. So good. So good. That is the Tildwick Tarot. Next, let me grab this title card. Hold on. Don't want to lose it. Okay. Next is, we'll kind of stick with kind of the same sort of theme, the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. I have almost rehomed this deck. I can't tell you how many times, but for some reason, I can never do it. I got this one a good while back. Again, secondhand on Facebook. These are lovely backs. It is on linen cardstock, so of course, delicious. But yeah, I can't bring myself to let this one go. I don't know what it is. Some of the artwork can be confronting, but I know that these were all oil paintings that the artist made and turned it into this incredible deck. For me, like, look at this sun card. I mean, now, for me, this deck is great, like in the middle of summer, like in the heat of summer, when everything is just dry and just hot, and it makes you want to slow down. You do not want to do anything. You want to sit around in your AC, maybe, you know, flip through some cards, watch TV, not cook, or, you know, not use anything with heat. So no stove, no oven, just, it's too hot. It's too hot. It's too much. This has to be one of my favorite Page of Coins I've ever seen. And it really solidified for me the entrepreneurial spirit that the Page of Coins represents. Little girl running her lemonade stand. Forever changed the way that I saw that card. So, but yeah, I don't know what this deck's thing is. I don't know why it won't go away from me. This is the King of Cups. I love how he's just relaxed and hanging out with his foot in the water. He's not worried. He's in his element. And look at this sweet Page of Cups. Honestly, the pages in this deck are just fantastic. So, yeah, I don't know. But then some of the faces in this deck kind of creep me out. Some of the coloring of the paints, like this is the Nine of Cups. But look at that face. Like it just, it's, if you get up close, it's like grays and reds, and it just doesn't look. This little Page of Swords reminds me of Sansa. Not Sansa. Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. This reminds me of her. Anyway, let me find one of the cards that yeah, okay. Blood warning, trigger warning, creepy warning. This is one of the cards that I have issues with. This is our lovely Ten of Swords. Not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily give you the impression of, but is it that bad? But it's not the end, you know. That's kind of typically part of the message that I bring in when I read the Ten of Swords. This is kind of final. So some people I know have issues with that. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I can't get rid of it. I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And every time I do, I take it out of my pile. So that's the Slow Tarot. I don't think it's going anywhere. I've got to pick up the pace. Next is one I've showed before, so I'll show it pretty quickly. The Somnia Tarot. This is just, I consider it high art just because of the attention to the detail and the beauty. I mean, this is museum-worthy photography in my opinion. And I'm very, very grateful to own this deck. He's coming out with a, like a line art version of this deck. But yeah, it is photography based, I know, but I still it just feels high art to me. There are a ton of walkthroughs. Oh, these are the backs. There are a ton of walkthroughs online of this tarot deck if you haven't seen it, but that is the Somnia Tarot. Can I finish a thought? He's coming out with a line art version, so like having it where it looks more drawn or sketched. He's basically sketching his photographs into a different format for the deck, so I'll probably be scooping that one up. But that is the Somnia Tarot. Another one that we can kind of quickly glance at is my Terra Volatile. I've talked about this one numerous times. Of course, to me, it feels like a fine art or high art deck. These are the backs. You know, it's on classic linen stock. Definitely higher art to me. That's what I see when I work with this deck. Sometimes it's too fancy and I don't want to get it out. Yeah. So, Terra Volatile. Gotta make up a little bit of time. Okay. Next up, we will talk about my Lucid Dreams Beginner's Tarot. This was another one. Lisa made me do it. Gold foiling on the box, you can see. Another clamshell box. This one is another one that is on linen cardstock. Kind of a thick deck though. The linen is thick. Gold gilding, soft gold gilding. This feels fine art because of the gold foiling, number one. Number two, I always say that this art kind of reminds me of the Moonchild meets Starchild. So it kind of has that desert, Egyptian, ethereal type of feel without feeling overly pastel-y, if that's a word. I've looked at the Moonchild Tarot so many times, and I've never been able to bring myself to purchase it because I know that looking at all those extremely light pastels, it just wouldn't jive for me. Just wouldn't drive. Now, the She-Wolf Tarot, I know is also pastel, but I can work with that because the spirit of it feels a little more, I don't know, I guess like rebellious in a way, intense, whatever word you want to use. Moonchild always, to me, felt a little bit more, you know, love and light type of deal. I could be completely wrong. Again, just going on my first impressions, but it wasn't enough ever for me to want to purchase it. So this deck kind of feels like a more, it's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, the detail on this deck is incredible. She's got war paint on. Here, I'll put her upside right. Maybe you can kind of see a little better. She's got white war paint on her face. It's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And again, the gold gilding. Awesome. Such a great deck. So yeah, this kind of gives me everything that I was wanting from the Moonchild Tarot, but in a smaller size on linen stock and not so much extremely pastel, love and light type of deal. Again, you may not see the Moonchild that way. I don't know. That's just what I get from it. Let's continue on. So the next is kind of a recent one too, is the Carte postale Tarot. And I love the way that this one opens. It opens all the way. Mine is numbered. It is number 104 out of 500. So this deck is really cool, I found, for ancestor work or for, it's really good too just for everyday readings. The cardstock on this deck feels like butter. Now, I had the relative tarot, but this kind of gave me more of what I think I was wanting the relative tarot to give me. I just gel with this one better. So, yeah, there's not too much to say about this one. It's a really fun read, and I like how it feels old and broken in. It feels like an heirloom deck that I would have inherited from someone else, that was kind of handed down to me. And to be honest, I'm kind of hoping that this deck does become something of an heirloom that I can hand down. If I have children one day or grandchildren that are into reading tarot, then this will be something really cool that I can pass down to them. So, and also, okay, it's funny too, like look at this devil card. You have all your classic symbology with the chain and obviously the devil. You get the imagery of like dancing with the devil, but it's a silly devil costume. Like it's funny. It's funny and cheeky, and I love it, and it's beautiful. And as I said, the cardstock is like butter. So that is the Carte Postale Tarot. I'm from Oklahoma, guys. My pronunciation English will never be perfect. I'm sorry. Okay, so the next one you've also seen before. This is my Spirit Keepers Tarot by Benbow Wynn. Of course, this is a fine art deck to me. Just, the way that I've talked about it before, the depth of creation of this deck, her very large guidebook that goes with it, the multi-system approach that she's used to put together this deck, the amount of detail in the artwork, you know, there's so much to say about it, and it is a deck that I will never be able to bring myself to get rid of, no matter how often I read it or don't read it. It will never be going anywhere. This is a deck that I will be able to study for the foreseeable future. Absolutely. There's only more knowledge to gain from this. So, yeah, of course this one belongs here. Oh, and these are the incredible backs. It's gold gilded. That's the backs. Matching bag by Moonlit Fae. Shout out. Every video is an homage to Jenna, basically. So yeah, that is my Spirit Keepers Tarot Revelation Edition. Next is a bag. A bag. Yep, a bag. That's all I wanted to show you. Next. No, it is a bag, obviously, with a deck in it. Gosh, I'm horrible, but I'm blanking on the name of the shop. These, because I have 3 decks in 3 different bags by this creator, and I am forgetting the name of the shop. I'll link it down below. I will put the information down, but these are like made of upholstery almost. They're very, very delicious bags. But this first bag holds a deck that I've also talked about numerous times, and this is the Majestic Earth Tarot, gold gilded. Obviously, fine art deck, of course. The more that I work with this deck, the more that I look through it, the more that I spend time with it, the more in awe of it I am. Just how incredibly thoughtful it was put together. I'll never give up this deck, ever. Ever. I think I talked about last time how I kind of feel kind of like I don't use it enough, but I'm okay with that. This is one of those decks that I am perfectly fine to use as I see fit, and I don't feel the need to pressure myself to get rid of it if I don't read it often enough, because what is often enough? So Unfortunately, this one is still very out of print, so I will put her away. But that is the Majestic Earth Tarot. Next, we'll go ahead and look at the other decks that I have in this shop owner's bags. And this one is my beloved Solera Occulto Tarot. Not Solera Occulto. Yes, Solera Occulto. I was thinking Crimson Hysteria and I said Solera Occulto. It's fine. It's fine. But yes. Also, let's just take a moment. Again, like quilt fabric, very thick upholstery feeling. Got the lovely tassels. And then inside, it's lined with like satin silk. You can see it's like this mustard yellow chartreuse green with a purple sheen to it. It's incredible. So it's so soft inside for your deck. Anyway, that's how these bags are all made, and they're beautiful. But yes, Solera Occulto. When I tell y'all that I started reading tarot in really like 2019, 2020. Got really into collecting over quarantine, of course, as a lot of people did. But I had been looking for this deck the entire time since I had discovered its existence relatively early on in my tarot reading. And I finally got my hands on a copy. The seller worked with me and held it for me for weeks until I could comfortably pay for it. And I, at one point, told them to go ahead and sell it if anybody else, you know, wanted to claim it, just because I just wasn't ready to spend the money on it. And they so kindly were like, no, this deck is supposed to be yours and it's not gonna go anywhere but with you. I may or may not have cried. So when I finally got her, it was over. It was over. It was like, okay, I can stop collecting tarot now. I have everything I need. I have not stopped collecting tarot. Now this deck, they are reprinting soon. Thank goodness. I think they're reprinting on the cardstock because this is kind of papery. First and second edition were kind of on a papery stock. I believe that the creator is printing on the cardstock similar to the Solera Occulto Tarot. So instead of being in a larger box, it'll be in a smaller box, a rigid box that kind of fits the deck, and a guidebook. And the cardstock will be thicker and a matte, just like super luxurious, just like the Solera, or just like the Crimson Hysteria. So I'm very much looking forward to that reprint. I've already warned Josh that I will be obtaining multiple copies. Sorry, not sorry. Let's go ahead and actually grab the companion oracle that I have too. This is just an Ipsy bag that I have it in, which I thought was very appropriate. This is the Mercury, Salt, and Sulfur Oracle. So I think I've mentioned this one on my channel before too. It's also very out of print, so I will not belabor it. But this one, they released on their Instagram that they found some that were not in boxes or like beautifully packaged, but that they found a box of them to sell, like a box of loose copies of this deck. And I got one without hesitation. So I'm very, very grateful that I have the Oracle and the Tarot to work together. And obviously, just because it is from the same creator, this Oracle works really well too with Crimson Hysteria. So she gets lots of use. I just love this art style. Amanda Spicer of Pranic Forest is incredible, and she is the artist behind all these decks. And yeah, I can't wait for the reprint of Solera Occulto. Maybe one day she'll also reprint Mercury, Salt, and Sulfur. Don't know. So yeah, that's the companion oracle. Next, we're not doing too bad. So next, we'll go ahead and look at my another new acquisition. This is the newer version of the Margaret Peterson Tarot. I had a copy of this way back when. I got it secondhand, and it was trimmed. I don't know if you could hear me. It was trimmed, and so there were no borders on it. It had cream colored borders. The titles were still on the bottom, but this is the 25th anniversary edition of this deck. So the backs also had a white border on them in the previous edition, and it does not. And now it's on this lovely purple background. Obviously, as you can see, it's a very abstract type of deck, but there are things in the art to latch onto. I just find it so beautiful. And for some reason, I've seen several people talk about this deck, and they've all said kind of the same thing that I agree. Lots of people have gotten this particular copy, the anniversary edition, that is the purple, and they have all said that it just completely changes it. And I agree. I think it makes a difference for sure. So like you can see here what I'm talking about in the artwork. This is a 6 of coins. You can see there's the outline of 2 feet right here and 2 hands. So like, you know, give and take. What are you taking? What are you bringing? What are you giving? What are you leaving? You know, kind of that back and forth kind of energy. So there's lots to latch onto. It's very, very intelligently done, I think. Seeing this 9 of flames, we see lots of reds and oranges and yellows, and these 2 figures down here in a corner. So it just, and then the majors in this deck, they're incredible. This is the wheel. It's called the Wheel of Life. This is a deck that you also sit and spend time with. This has got to be one of my favorite cards ever. This is the Death card. The majors, I will say, are a lot less abstract, obviously, than the minors. But see, this is the 8 of flames, and you see an archer, and you kind of see a leopard up here. So you get that speed, like releasing the arrow, or obviously the leopard or jaguar are incredibly fast. So you kind of, there's definite intentional things that have been placed there for you to grab onto. But yeah, it's amazing. I love this deck. I'd rehomed my previous copy a while back. I just never used it, and I've already, within the couple days that I've had it, I've already bonded with this one so much more. So that is the Margaret Peterson Tarot. Next, we'll kind of go with this one. So this is one of the few decks that I keep in its box. This is a low Scarabeo deck. It is the Impressionist Tarot. So the cool thing about this one, I got this at Half Price Books, very cheap. And I thought that it went out of print after that. And so I was really, really glad that I got it, A. And B, I did not want to let it go. Because even though I haven't used it a ton, I was like, well, I mean, obviously, you know, collectors, it could become valuable one day, you know. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think I've seen them come back. But the cool thing about this, these are the backs, is that each card is like a painting. It's an impressionist piece of art. It's like here we have the Queen of Swords. The title's at the bottom and the suit is at the top. I really think this is a super cool deck. It feels very, again, like when you lay the cards side by side, I mean, it's legitimately like you're in a museum gallery, right? Like these are paintings on the wall. So it's just really, really neat to look at. And I'm glad that I didn't get rid of it. I'm glad, because I would have been sad. Obviously, it's in the Impressionist style, so it's abstract without being abstract. So it's really not abstract, but I don't know, I've just kind of always described Impressionist art as kind of like blurry. I know it's not truly blurry, but it's kind of like the colors are made up of compositions of multiple scales of a certain color. I don't know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. My degree is not in art. My degree is in nursing, okay? I am a nurse. I'm not an artist or an art critic. But it's just, yeah. I love this deck. It's stunning. It really is stunning. Like, look at this 3 of Swords. Poking a sunflower. Yeah. Very glad I kept this one around. I can see this one being really fun in the springtime or in the summer. Yeah, or really the fall too, like early fall. You never know. Anyway, that is the Impressionist Tarot. That one is by Corinne Kinner, and the artwork by Arturo Picha? There's 2 C's, so I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But yeah, Impressionist Tarot. Even the inside of the box, it's got an image. I believe this is the moon in the deck. So, stunning. Love it. Okay, we are down to the last 6 decks. So we'll go ahead and look at the Rackmon Tarot. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck in a tuck box, which I hate, but I've not changed. I've showed this one before, so I won't take too long with it. Reversible backs. The cardstock on Lo Scarabeo decks is just my favorite. This deck really is in season right now. I feel like this is a great deck to use. This and the Hush Tarot, honestly, work very, very well together. They're kind of both that moody storybook, forest, fae type of energy. I just think it's really neat. Which card is this? Oh, this is the Knight of Wands. He's like literally bursting from flame. So neat. And I know I talked about, I want to say, I don't remember which card it was, but it reminded me of Peter Pan coming and taking Wendy away. Yeah, I don't remember what, but anyway, inconsequential. Obviously, this is a curated art deck with art by Arthur Rackmon. And I love this chariot so freaking much. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's the little mole in a suit who's leading our horse and buggy. I don't know. It's just it's a story. Like look at this beautiful 3 of Pentacles. Look like the glowing light and the fruit and the trees. It's great. I haven't messed with this one in a good while, honestly, and now looking at it, I'm kind of like, why didn't I? Okay, see, we see this figure a couple times throughout the deck. This is the kind of Peter Pan character that we see. It reminds me, I don't know if you guys ever saw this version, but it was the live action Peter Pan with the father and Captain Hook were both Draco Malfoy's father in the Harry Potter series. And Peter Pan was played by a guy named Jeremy Sumpter. This reminds me of the Jeremy Sumpter version of Peter Pan after he like vanquished one of the big Neverland monsters, even though that's not really a monster type like we've ever been told about, I don't think. This right here reminds me of Peter Pan holding Wendy. Anyway, okay. I'll stop. I forgot how much I love this deck. Clearly I need to break it out. But that's the Rackmon Tarot. Okay. Just a couple left. I hope you got a drink or a snack or a blanket when you sat down to watch this. I haven't made disclaimers on my channel for that because we all know that anytime I do a collection or a ramble or walkthroughs like this, it just takes forever. I just go slow, but it's fine. Next one is a deck that we've all seen a bunch of times. This is the Pagan of the Worlds by Usi. I don't really even know that I need to show this, but I will. I'll show like 5 cards. Obviously, fine art deck. These are the backs. It's on delicious linen cardstock. You can't tell me that this doesn't remind you of high art. Obviously, we've got the pip-ish minors, as Lisa Pepez first described and kind of coined. They are pips, but they've got kind of things in the background to kind of clue you into what is going on. They're not fully scenic, but there's a little bit of a hint. So I don't find it too complicated to read with. I love it. This is also a great deck for this time of year too. And I love the wilderness of it, like the, it's kind of a dual nature for me between wilderness and civilization. It kind of blurs the line. And what I mean by that is like, let me find a particularly wild looking character. Okay, this will work. So your Page of Wands, right? They obviously have advanced clothing because they're wearing true clothing, but then they're also wild because he's got like bush and greenery wrapped around him or her. Can't really tell. So it's like they have civilization, but they have advanced, you know, civilization, but they still remain wild. I don't know. My descriptions just sound really stupid, I'm sure, but this is another example. We have our Page of Pentacles. So you see, again, man-made boots, man-made leggings, man-made clothing, but pieces of grass and plants wrapped around. It's just cool. It's just neat. Beautiful, beautiful deck. I really don't use this one a lot, but I have honestly also never reconsidered having it. I just haven't. I love it too much. So that's the Pagan Otherworlds glorious fine art deck. Okay, 4 more. We're getting there. Now the last deck that's in one of these delicious bags is my Tarot of Delphi. I will show you 4 cards from this deck because again, this is very, very out of print. I've showed it before. Still one of my favorites. Obviously high art, fine art. Couldn't tell me it's not. Yeah. Okay, I lied, one more. Okay, that's the Tarot of Delphi. Now, a deck that I have found fits very, very well with the Tarot of Delphi is the Hellenic Oracle by our lovely Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot. Made, or put in a beautiful custom Daturus, I'm gonna butcher the name. I've never known how to pronounce it. Daturus Ambry bag. She custom made that wrap for me a while back, and I knew it had to go to a special deck, and this was it. The Hellenic Oracle. These are the backs. It's on linen cardstock. She just came out with a 2nd edition that's got some extra cards. I'm kind of considering getting them, but not yet, just because I have not used this deck enough, I don't think, as it is, to justify getting more cards just yet. But this is a deck that kind of coincides with that Greek, Roman mythology, fine art, goes very well with the Tarot of Delphi. And what she's done is she has written the name of the god or goddess or place in English and in its original Greek, the way that it would have been written. Very, very fine art. She's not really made a guidebook that goes with this deck, but it's kind of fun to, so this is one of those kind of more elemental place cards I was talking about. This is Typhoeus. So what I would do is if I drew this card, I would go look that title up and read about the person, the place, the element, the whatever was on the card. And it kind of gives you something to explore and something to learn. It's a very thought-provoking deck, and I love it. I think she did a stunning job. This artwork is beautiful. And like I said, you can obviously tell why I feel like it goes well with the Terra of Delphi or any of the fine art decks. Majestic Earth. Are you kidding me? Like, of course it goes well with that. It's just great. It's just great. It's so, so good. So yeah, this is the Hellenic Oracle. One last card. This image is also in the Terra of Delphi too. It is the Oracle of Delphi. Pythia, to be specific. Again, nurse, not a history or art major. Thank you. But just because I can't pronounce it doesn't mean I can't appreciate it, okay? All right, 2 more decks, and I'm not even gonna wrap this all the way up for time's sake. 2 more, and then we are all done. So this one is in a custom bag from Krista at Crochet Witch Tarot. Again, she makes the best bags. This houses my Revival Art Tarot. Another, given the title, fine art deck. Comes with a little white book. It is from Tarot Studios. These are the backs. They're reversible. The deck actually came, this particular deck came in a tuck box. I don't know if they still do. I feel like now they've changed the packaging on them. But there are 2 editions to this deck, and this is the first edition. I just liked the borders and the art pieces chosen a little better in this first version than in the second version. But you can obviously tell why it's perfect. This is another curated art deck, meaning it wasn't artwork created for this tarot deck in mind, but I think they chose very, very well. And this is a really great deck when I'm kind of craving fine art, but I don't necessarily want to break out my Terra of Delphi or Majestic Earth. This one, I'm a little less cautious about roughing up, to be completely honest. Just because it is still readily available, and you know, not that I hurt any of my decks, mind you, but like, look at this strength card. Okay, and then the last one, I love this image. This is the 7 of Coins. Look, it's beautiful. Anyway, so this is the Revival Art Tarot. This is the first edition by Tarot Studios. Our last deck is another deck I've talked about before. Lots of people have talked about it. This is the newest version of the Victorian Romantic Tarot by Baba Studios. This new packaging with the decks in the boxes is chef's kiss. I love these boxes. I love the protection that they offer, and they're just great. Comes with a little white book, although as all Baba Studios decks do, I do have the bigger book as well. The larger guidebook is down there with all my other guidebooks. It gives a lot more in-depth information on the cards, obviously. But these are the backs. Again, this is the, I want to say 4th edition of Victorian Romantic that they have released, and it's by far my favorite. I had the 3rd or 2nd edition, and as soon as this version came out, I immediately started using this one, and I have not. I had not picked up my other version since I got this one, and I have definitely since rehomed. But you can see, it's hard to tell on camera, but you can see the cold stamping on it, kind of, when it hits the light. When it hits the light just right. It's not really working, but there is cold stamping on oh, there you go. You can kind of see. There is cold stamping on these cards. And again, another fine art deck. I mean, it's Baba Studios, so of course it's high art. Love it. Love it, love it. It's the same unmatchable Baba Studios quality. The cardstock is so delicious in your hand. It's thin, but it's got a core. It's still flexible, but it holds up so well to shuffling. I have found even my older Baba Studios decks that I use a lot, Bohemian Gothic, that deck I've used so much, and they hold up so well over time, which, as I've said before, Bohemian Gothic is getting ready to be reprinted late in 2023, I want to say, or mid 2023. So I will definitely be getting that new version, but oh, look at that gold stamping. You can really see it on this one. But yeah, Baba Studios decks. Need I say more? Need I say more? Well, my friends, that is just about it. That are all them fine decks. That is all that I have to show you guys today. These were my fine art or high art decks. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me as per usual. I hope you've enjoyed looking at all the pretty art, the pretty things. And I hope you're all enjoying your weekend. I hope you're having a lovely, restful Sunday. I hope you have a great week coming up. And until next time, bye guys.